Yep, time to get back to the show. Shoot. All right, my man.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks show. JC Sherbert, Phil Mullinax. It's time for our weekly segment, The Mental Edge with Sawyer Nix. Sawyer came on last week and had a great segment, and we feel like this is an important topic, and so we decided to just kind of make it a weekly deal here. So Sawyer, here we go. Next week will be in game week, game prep, game mode.
Yep. Yes.
Kind of some dress rehearsal type stuff this week with Beamer's weekly press conference, which is later today, and then Carolina calls later this week with Todd. I think Todd's doing it. Oh, I got to get ready to hear that again too. It warms my heart. So it's kind of a dress rehearsal week, but this time of the year in camp too, as a football player, I've talked to a lot of players, and these are the dog days in college. In the pros, by the time you get here, you're ready for the regular season to start. But you got a lot of second and third teamers playing in the exhibition games and, things of that nature. And so there's still kind of like, quote unquote, something to do, places to go, teams to play, that kind of thing. College, it's just like, because you're done scrimmaging for the most part. Game plan starting to get put in, but it does kind of drag. So talk a little bit about the mental approach needed for an athlete to kind of make it through these days, to make sure you sort of peak when it kicks off for real a week from Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of thinking about from not only a fan standpoint, but I'll speak for both, and I'll kind of speak more specifically on athletes. But for both, I was thinking about when we go to a buffet, which they're kind of Quincy's is no longer a whole lot. Ryan's is gone by the wayside. You still got the golden straw.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
I want, for the record, the fact that Quincy's and Ryan's are gone sucks. Not just because of the buffet, but the sirloin tips with mushroom gravy or the hamburger steak that you ordered from the counter. That was off the chain too. And those steak fries. All right. So anyway, I'll let you continue.
No, that's fine. But I mean, I remember as a kid, that was the greatest thing. All you can eat, tons of dessert. Great. But then at the end, you're miserable, right? So I think about that. We get excited for the season. We're like, we're ready. The players are ready. They've been working out, doing mat drills, spring drills, training. Finally, team organized sports. We're playing, we're blocking, we're tackling, we're hitting. For fans, all right, what did the offensive coordinator say about practice today? Who's balling out in practice today? But then it goes on. So just like a buffet that starts out pretty good, at the end it's like, hit the wall, right? So exactly, they've hit the wall. Fans, we've hit the wall. Okay, we're tired of these daily practice reports that don't have a whole lot of extra content, stuff we haven't heard before. It's the same stuff. Nobody's majorly injured, some bumps and bruises, and they're running around real good. Okay, we're really, really chomping at the bit to get there. But absolutely, from the athlete perspective, they're the same way. So how do they handle this? Well, one, classes have started. So part of it is, what are they looking forward to? It's just a change in their focus for goal. So their focus becomes, all right, not only do I have to muddle through this last week of practice, but there's a shift in focus. All right, now I got class. Oh my gosh, now I got to study. Oh, now there's some girls on campus, or whatever. There's extra things going on. So how do they reestablish their schedule, their routine? And so part of it is, what is my routine? They have a daily routine. Whatever they do, class, socially, studying. So part of it is they're establishing a new routine and trying to develop new habits, a new foundation. And I think that's important. Part of it is taking care of their bodies. Certainly Atkins said that that's a big component. Don't let those nagging things, I'm just a little sore, right? Take care of those things. So for the athletes, that's really important for them to take care of those nagging things that don't impact them. Part of it's accepting their role. So am I a leader? Am I first string? Am I scout team? Am I on the third string? So part of it's learning their role and accepting that. And then also figuring out, all right, what do I need to do to continue growing into that, and then transitioning into game prep. I suspect Sunday is usually when they'll probably start. Usually kind of start Sunday, Monday, I guess, for game prep for the week. So that will be a new focus. So it really is this week. I think it's just changing the focus. And I think you can't say, oh, I got to get through this. It's what do I have to do today? What's my focus for today? Just this moment. And I think that's a way to make it more manageable, to make it easier for them, and also keeping up with what's the goal. The goal is to put myself in a position to be successful. And as long as they keep the focus on that main goal, then they can make smaller transitions, chomp easier pieces, and just focus on, hey, what do I have to do today, rather than looking at the whole week, because it is overwhelming and it is too much if you look at a whole week. So
yeah, I totally understand that, and a week seems like a long time, but as we know, Phil and I know from doing the show, heck, man, Phil, this is episode 13, right? 14. It's flown by, man. And once and I guarantee you, once you get a football season, I said it last year,
yep.
It seems like forever for the opener to get there. The next thing you know, it's November.
Yep.
You're just sitting there going, where did the time go? Where did the time go? But yeah, so I totally agree with you there. Those of you on the Nana Sports chat box, please send your questions in for Sawyer. He's going to pick the best one and give away a hat, a Carolina Rise hat today.
And also I'd like folks on the I Help Consulting mailbag shoot in a message there, or message via Twitter, either at Sawyer Nix, my name. You can do that and tag Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Yeah.
Tag that and shoot me a question there, and that will be also because I'm a little biased. I can't usually see the show live, so I'm a Spotify is kind of my version that I usually listen to later on, or either the next morning working out. So I want to be open to all questions. So.
Absolutely. And again, the email address is insidethegamecocks@gmail.com for the IM Consulting mailbag, or tweet to @thebigspurpod to get your questions in for Sawyer Nix. And if he picks your question, you get a hat. How about that? And it's a good hat. Carolina Rise hat. So you help Carolina Rise and get a hat. So that's awesome just by sending in a outstanding question here. It's the mental edge with Sawyer Nix. We're gonna have him on every Tuesday. Okay, so you mentioned this was a good point about taking care of your body. And a lot of times coaches will say there's a difference between being hurt and being injured, being sore and having a medical condition that keeps you from playing. And a lot of times that goes into mental toughness, and some guys I think are, lack of a better term, too mentally tough, and they actually do end up hurting themselves. That's by being dumb. But, so Nick Saban talks a lot about this, and he's really into the psychological part of it, about being mentally tough, powering through, and the difference between being injured and being hurt. Can you speak to that and maybe some tips, even for those of us that don't play, that, maybe we don't feel like getting out of bed, or maybe we did stump our toe or something, or we got to power through it in everyday life.
Right. So for the athletes, I would say for them, they need to treat everything as if it is nagging. Go, get treatment, ice, hot tub, cold tub, communicate with the staff, and then they'll say, oh yeah, it sounds fine. And then you can go on your way, but it's better to do that rather than hold back. And I got to be tough. I'm not going to let anybody know. And then, well, why didn't you tell us? Now you've cost us whatever. So certainly be on the forefront of that. I think being proactive, I guess maybe the key word there, and communicating about that. And then once you have that information, then it's information's power, right? So last week, I guess 2 Fridays ago, however many days it's been, part of me being proactive before I went to school to meet the teacher day was take a COVID test, because I wasn't feeling well. So I could have said, I don't feel great, but I feel good enough to go. And so being proactive. I was like, well, let me just make sure in the realm of possibility. And sure enough, positive, and there we go. So I think being proactive in taking care of those things. And then once you have that, again, knowledge is power. And then you know, okay, now I can really focus on mental toughness. And that's a topic I'm going to kind of dive in a little deeper in a future episode. Maybe an application for us I was thinking about is, what's our foundation? You know, what is our foundation for functioning every day as a parent, spouse, coworker, boss, salesperson, whatever we're in daily life, is thinking about our foundation. And I talk to clients a lot about that, and I kind of break it down in 4 areas. So physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. So physically for us, you know, being active, you know, taking steps, not being on the couch all the time. Part of that is having a balanced diet and appetite. So you probably remember, I don't know, it's been a couple of years ago, Snickers had a great commercial, and one particular football one had Betty White, and people changed, right? And the Snickers guy comes on, you're not you when you're hungry, you know, have a Snickers, right? So there's truth. People are hangry, you know, we need to eat, but we don't need to eat a bunch of sludge, because that can make us slow and not focus. So appetite is important. Having a balanced diet is important. Getting sleep. Don't even want to go into the statistics that say how bad adults do as far as sleeping, but we can't function if we're not getting enough sleep. We can't handle a problem at work. We can't handle some idiot that cuts us off in the road, you know, if we're already at a deficiency. There's so many things that are outside of our control that go throughout our day, problems we experience, challenges. But one of the things is, how can we take care of things that we know? So physically is one of those things. The other thing is, you know, get a checkup. You know, it's always good. We need to get checkups to make sure our health is as good as possible. So that's kind of the physical cornerstone or table leg. The next one would be socially. So spend time with family and friends. For most people, that's pretty easy. I'm an introvert. It takes a little more effort for me to go out and do stuff, because I'd rather, hey, let me just get a couple of minutes of peace and quiet where nobody's bothering me or bugging me, and I don't have a 5-month-old crying and all those things. So sometimes it's a challenge, you know, for me to get that extra social interaction, but we're created to interact with others and be social, and sometimes it's dealing with family and others. So sometimes when people are not doing well, they kind of internalize and shut down. So that's not helpful. Other thing, mental, emotional. That's another cornerstone or table leg. Take breaks. Do hobbies. Certainly, JC and I, we need to get on the golf course. That's something I haven't done in a while, and I need to get back out there. I think our hobby, certainly Gamecocks, that's a hobby. But engage in some of those things to break up our day, to have something to look forward to, so that we can enjoy life. We only have so many days on earth, and who knows when it's going to be our last day. So we need to do that. Enjoy life. Take breaks. Take a breath. I think that was my wife's takeaway from last week was, all right, what was kind of your takeaway? It was, well, I need to take a deep breath and step back for a minute and then kind of, you know, refocus. And I was like, great. You know, that's good. So who knows whose takeaway, who had a good takeaway from last week. So again, this week, hopefully think about the foundation. So physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, and the last one is spiritually. So some people are like, well, faith, I'm not a person of faith. Well, that's okay. I'll kind of cover that. So for me, being a Christian is important. It kind of creates the drive in me to help others, kind of gives the lens through which I view life. And so I through that, I meditate, read scripture, engage in practices. Now, you can be atheist or agnostic or irreligious and do some of those same things. You can meditate. So meditation is great. And I may jump into that at some point in the future, but also serving. So serving is a way that could be falling under that spiritual realm that's not necessarily religious. So when we help others, we're giving of ourselves, that's a great experience. That's something that we are doing that can bring about change. We also recognize that, and we feel good when we do those things. So again, just overview, but of all the things we do in life, there's a lot we can't control, and we have to react to that. But part of the things that we can do is focus on that foundation for ourselves and our functioning. And again, just kind of covering those big cornerstones. And the changes need to be reasonable. If somebody's like, yeah, man, I haven't been working out. Don't go every day to the gym for the next month, right? That's not what we're saying. If you need to change your diet, I'm not going all plant-based, vegan, organic. That's not me. It ain't happening. I like chocolate. I like barbecue. But I need to make reasonable changes. I'll need to be eating bags of chips every day and extra snacks here and extra snacks there. And so these things are little, right? They're like, they're just little, but they really are the foundation for our functioning. And just like the athletes, they have to have their foundation going into this week, kind of circling back, getting into this week to get through. It's reestablishing, all right, what is my foundation? What is my focus? What do I need to do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Sawyer, about, since we're talking about players, the difference between just being a little hurt or actually getting a full out injury. And then something I was thinking about this weekend was, is there a different path you take mentally to get back on track if, say, you have a non-contact injury versus something, that actually happens in game that maybe wasn't your fault or was completely incidental?
Right. So when you say non-contact injury, give me a quick kind of.
Okay, so you're say a running back is running through the open field, makes a cut to miss a tackle and blows an ACL. Yeah,
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, I think they're all similar, whether they're contact or non-contact. How the athletes respond to injury is pretty similar. How it happens has little consequence. I think it's the fact that the injury is there. Again, whether it's nagging or whether it's significant, it all takes a process and takes steps to get back. I mentioned that last week, for Lloyd, it didn't happen overnight. And it takes time, and it takes mental reps. It takes confidence. It takes self-talk. And it takes being able to do it, actually show it and do it. And then it's like, oh, okay, I am back. And sometimes athletes, they kind of surprise themselves like, oh, okay, now I can really go.
Talking with Sawyer Nix, the mental edge. He'll be here every Tuesday talking about the mental health aspect of football, athletics, life, you name it. I think, Phil, I think it's time to pick the question here, right?
Yeah, we've got some in the Nana Sports chat box here. Let's see. One of them, Big Slamma Jamma came back and kind of built on what I was kind of getting at there. I was curious about the mental aspect of injury recovery. Aside from the physical rehab, how do players rebuild their confidence to not hold back out of fear of re-aggravating?
Yeah, it is very challenging. So part of it is building a foundation. Part of it's self-talk. Okay, the doctors have cleared me. The trainers have cleared me. I physically rehabbed this. So part of it starts with just running in air, so we'll just use running back. It's having a ball, running without pads, doing some of those things. Now it's throwing pads on, running through a hole without getting tackled. And then it's just a build up. It doesn't go from I'm in the training room, the doctor says I'm great, to all of a sudden I'm running through holes on game day. It's certainly a build up. And I think that's really what takes place. It takes physical build up, but also alongside it's the mental build up. Part of it's they have to see themselves doing that. They have to believe in themselves, so having the self-talk to do that. And we have lots of thoughts pop through our head. I kind of compare negative thoughts to a bad song stuck in our head. If you've ever been either around kids or been in the grocery store, it's like, oh, that song's so annoying. That's kind of like mental thoughts. When bad thoughts get stuck in our head, it's like a bad song that's cycling through our head. Well, how do you get rid of the bad song? Well, you got to kind of focus on something else, or else the bad song is going to keep cycling through, and it's going to stay there. So part of it is you have to kind of refocus and retell yourself, hey, I'm ready, I'm good. And there are the chances that you could re-injure it. So I think part of it is accepting that. Part of it is accepting it doesn't matter if I re-injure it. I'm going full tilt today. I'm doing my best today, and whatever happens, happens. Same thing for us. You know, we go out the door each day ready to tackle the world. You know, we don't go to work. Well, what if I get fired today? What if something? I'm not sure a whole lot of us go to work that way. It would not be a good way to live. So I think for athletes, it's how do you kind of build that confidence and build that foundation and refocus and have that self-talk and have that imagery that you see yourself doing that you see yourself having success. And it doesn't take a huge one. It's little bit by little bit. Again, you have a little success in practice. Hey, I ran through the tackles. Even though nobody tackled me, felt great. And then you have a little more confidence. All right, next time I know we're having a scrimmage, I'm getting tackled. That's fine because I did great last time. I'm ready this time.
Sawyer Nix with the mental edge. So I guess Big Slamma Jamma won the hat this week. And if you guys have another question for Sawyer, I think we weren't quick enough on the I Help Consulting mailbag functions of it. But if you send that in, I Help Consulting mailbag inside the Gamecocks at gmail.com or tweet to us. Also tweet to Sawyer and tag him at Sawyer Nix. Please follow him on Twitter. We'll be sure to consider those next week for the segment as we get into game week. Sawyer, as always, very riveting stuff, very interesting stuff, and certainly appreciate you and all you do. And Phil and I are enlightened by it. I know everybody that listens is too. And next week, game week. So
yes, I have got to think about my prediction. I think I have a prediction floating around in my head, and I'll kind of give you my prediction as well, and then talk about, what does that look like going into game week for the athletes, and what are their tasks that they're facing, and how do they adjust. Kind of getting through the sluggish buffet days will be over, and they will be there. So
sluggish
I look
buffet.
forward to that. Certainly,
Yeah.
I'd like folks to follow me on Twitter, but also tell your friends. I talked to several people in the past week. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know that there was a show," or get more listeners. There should be more listeners. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors. They may know that they probably don't. Certainly, JC and Phil are worth the listen. Aside from me, my one little segment, I listen to the show every day. Again, not live, but I listen to every segment. So tell everyone, let's see if we can get more followers. That way, have some more chances at winning things, learn some more things, and certainly contribute, make this a great show that it is.
Thank you, Sawyer. We appreciate it. And certainly, tell your friends. We enjoy it when people spread the word about the show. Sawyer Nix, the mental edge here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We'll talk to you next week, bud.
Thanks. See you next week.
Thanks so